Assalamualaikum. How are you today? In our last lecture, we discussed the activity component of Android application. This lecture covers the basic of the next building block, which I call Android intent. In order to launch another like B activity from A activity, programmer have to use intent. An intent can be as verb and object. For example, I have an activity A and I want to call activity B. Intent help you in establishing and communicating between two activities. It is not only necessary two activity. If you want to open a web page, you might call a web browser. Intent help you to do that action. Intent is the facility for late runtime binding between components in the same or different application. Call a component from another component. Let's say, think of the intent as a message to communicate an action. It is a description of what you want done. For example, view video, play a game, and so on. Possible to pass data between two components. There are commands which when called would act as a communicator between the three core components of Android. For example, activities, services, and broadcast receiver. While you are interacting with the one activity, you might want to switch to another one. This is done by defining a proper intent for the action. Here, one activity uses intent to request the launch of another activity. Thus, it is evident that using intent, one Android component can request action from the other component of Android. Intent is a message. The complete information that it wants to convey must be stored somewhere, right? Intent object take care of that. Intent object contain all the information that the intent means to convey. All the information required by the component receiving the intent. For instance, the action to take on receiving the intent. In the above example, this would be the information meant for your friend knowledge, like the location of the meeting, time of the meeting, and etc. The information required by the Android system, for instance, the description of the component category the intent is directed, is contained in the intent object. In the above example, the information required by messenger itself would form a part of this, like the name of friend, his address, and etc. The following information form a part of intent object. First is a component name. This information is optional. In case the component name is set, the Android system directly map the intent to the target component. The component name is set by set component, set class, or set class name, and is read by get component. The second part is action. This piece of information named the action an Android component should take on receiving the intent, or the action that has already taken place and is being notified to the system. The Android system defines a number of action constants. The next part is data. Data contains the uniform resource identifier of the data. There are different types of data specification for different actions. For instance, if the action defined were action call, the data field will contain a number to call. Next part is the category. This defines the category of the component that would handle the intent. Next is the extras. This is the additional information that need to refer to the component handling the intent. Lastly, flag. Many flags can be part of information contained in intent object. For instance, flag can instruct the Android system to launch an activity in a specific manner. You can specify that the new activity be launched in a new window of the browser. Intent can be explicit or implicit. An explicit intent is used to perform an action. In this case, we define explicitly the Android component, such as activity, service, or broadcast receiver that need calling. The target receiver is specified through the component name. It is used to launch a specific activity. The second one is implicit intent. Here, we don't specifically define the component that need to be called. The target receiver is specified by data type or name. The system chooses the receiver that matches the request. It is used to launch a specific application. Explicit intent can be used to launch another activity. It also can be used to pass information from one to another in the same application. Explicit intent also can be used to return data from launch activity. In this case, programmer can avoid coding his own activity and let Android automatically handle the activity by firing up the component from another application that can do the job on our application behalf. For example, you have an application that is available to capture an image. If the user touches an item in the list, you can take a photo. In order to navigate to another activity, you need to add that code in your main activity. You can type intent equal to new intent main activity dot this. This is your current activity, comma second activity dot class. That is your target activity. Next, you can type start activity intent. When start activity is called, the system examines all the installed application to determine which one can handle this kind of intent. In order to pass data to another activity, you can use put extra. Put extra means add extended data to the intent. It has two parameters. First one specify the name which of the extra data, and the second parameter is the data itself. To receive the data in B activity by using bundle object, you can type the source code like this. Bundle extras equal to get intent dot get extra. If extra not equal to null, string name equal to extra dot get string name. Integer a equal to extra dot get integer a. Bundle is basically a mapping from string value to various parseable type. Get integer return the intent that started in this activity. Calling get extra on our intent object enable us to call various methods like get string, get integer, get character, and etc. You need to add the handle application. You can type if extra not equal to null. If you call an intent that no application can handle, your application will crash. So this handle is used to avoid crash in your application. So you can declare a condition. Yeah. You can type if extra not equal to null, and then you can retrieve the data using extra.get string, extra.get integer. If you don't want to use the bundle extra, you also can use the method like getStringExtra and getIntegerExtra on the intent object. You can type the source code like this. String name equal to getIntent dot getStringExtra name, or for integer you can type integer a equal to getIntent dot getIntegerExtra a. Remember, if you are using a bundle extra, you have to put the handle condition to handle your application, so your application will not crash by typing if extra not equal to null. But if you don't want to use the bundle extra, you can use get string extra or get integer extra. There is no way for transferring data to be written from the second activity to the first activity. However, launch the second activity as a sub-activity of the first activity can return the data. To do so, we have to start the first activity as a sub-activity by calling start activity for result, instead of using start activity. In other words, if we want to retrieve the result, we have to use start activity for result. If we want to launch activity, we can use start activity. Okay. Start activity for result enable us to identify the return data from the sub activity by passing a request code value. The syntax that we want to write here is the start activity for result intent, comma, request code value. Returning data from launch activity. Activity can return the result. This is the example as a sender side. Let's say we declare intent equal to new intent main activity dot this comma second activity dot class, and then we add the data intent dot put extra name comma Ali, intent dot put extra a comma 21, and in order to pass this data to the second activity, and we want to return the data, so we can type start activity for result intent comma request code value. In order to retrieve the data, we can type the function, create a function public void on activity result, integer request code, integer result code, and intent data. Remember, the request code in the on activity result must similar to the request code value in start activity for result. As receiver side, we can send the data from the second activity to the first activity. We can type intent equal to new intent, then intent dot put extra variable and the data from the second activity. Next, we can type set result OK, comma intent, then finish. As sender side, in order to receive the data, we can create a function public void on activity result, integer request code, integer result code, intent data. Then we have to add the condition, if request code equal to 22. This value must similar to the request code value that we assign at the start activity for result before this. And the result code equal to result underscore OK. In order to save the data, we can use a text view dot set text data dot get string extra variable. This variable must similar to the variable in the second activity. This is an example of returning data from launch activity. For example, the first activity, I will pass this value, let's say for example 5. The second value is 2. Okay, I'm going to pass those value to the second activity. Okay, number 1 is 5, number 2 is 2, and I will do multiplication here between number 1 and number 2, and the result obtained from this multiplication will be returned to the first activity. We can see here the result is 10. Okay, let us discuss in detail. First, I have 4 items, 2 edit text, 1 text view, and 1 button in our layout. Okay, go to the Java file, for the main activity here, or we can call it as a sender side. Yeah. First, we have to link, yeah, between Java file and the layout. I have two edit text here, number 1 and number 2, and also the text view in order to display the result. And lastly is a button. Okay, button find view by ID r.id button 1. Then we set on click listener. Okay, the first control statement here, we want to make sure that the user fill in the form, in the edit text. Yeah. So if the number 1 get text to string equal to empty, or number 2 dot get text dot to string dot equal also empty, it will pop up the message, yeah, please insert the number. Else means that the user already fill in the edit text. Yeah. And number 1, float dot parse float number 1 dot get text dot to string. We want to convert the value into a floating number. Okay, same as number 2. Okay, then we want to pass this value to the second activity, so we can type intent equal to new intent main activity dot this comma activity dot activity2 dot class. Then we can save it through the intent dot put extra number 1 num1, and this is the variable. Okay, intent put extra number 2 num2. Okay, this is the data. Okay, and this is the variable. Start activity for result. So it means that we want to pass this value, then we want to we want to receive the data. Yeah. Intent and following by a request code. Let's say I define a request code equal to 22 here. Okay. Okay. Goes to the second activity. Okay, or the receiver side. Yeah. In the receiver side, we can see the layout. Okay, let me show it to you. I have 3 items. Yeah. This is the edit text. Yeah. Number 1, number 2, and 1 button multiplication. Okay. Okay, this is the Java file. In order to receive the intent value, we can type intent dot equal to get intent. Yeah. Float number 1 equal to intent dot get float extra number 1. This is the variable. Okay. Float number 2 intent dot get float extra number 2, and this is the variable. Okay, next we want to display. Okay, we can display in the text view here. First we have to link between Java file and layout. Okay, text view. So text 1 equal to set text number 1 plus number 1 here. This statement is used to display the value that we receive from the activity 1 and display into the activity 2. Okay, Next is a button. This is the button multiplication. Okay, we have to link between Java file and also the layout. Okay, then we can set on click listener to the button dot set on click listener, new view on click listener, public void on click view v. Okay, here the data we want to do a multiplication. So I declare a float result equal to number 1 multiply by number 2. And in order to pass this data, the result data from activity 2 to activity 1, okay, we can declare intent, okay, result intent equal to new intent. Okay, then the data that we want to send to activity 1, we can use a put extra result intent dot put extra result multiplication. This is the variable that we want to store, yeah, comma result. Result here is the data, the value, data value obtained from the multiplication between number 1 and number 2. Okay, you have to make sure that this variable must similar to the activity 1, yeah, this one. If you want to receive the data, you have to make sure the variable similar. Okay, okay, next is a set result, result okay, and this is the result intent. Okay, then finish. This is how to send the result from the receiver to the sender. Okay, back to the sender. In order to receive the data, we have to create a function. You can type a protected void on activity result, or you can use the public. Yeah, you can make it public. Yeah. Integer request code, integer result code, and intent data. Okay, so first we have to check condition. If request code equal to 22, this one must similar to the request code that we assign in the start activity for result. Must similar. Okay, and the second condition is if result code equal to result okay. And then we have to save into the result variable, float result equal to data dot get float extra, and this is the variable, the variable result multiplication that we set in the receiver side, must be same, comma 0. And in order to display the result, you can use view result dot set text result plus result. Yeah, this statement is used to display the result from the activity 2. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you. An intent provides a facility for performing let runtime binding between the code in different applications. Some example: action view, action dial. For the first one, if you want to open a web page, we can type intent equal to new intent dot action view URI, or sometimes we call it uniform resources identifier, yeah, dot parse, and the address that we want to search here. Or if you want to see the contact list in your phone, you can type intent, equal to new intent action view, contact dot set data contact contract dot contact dot content URI. So you can see the list of your contact. Yeah. Or if you want to action dial, you can type URI dot parse and the phone number. Yeah. You may refer to https:/developer.android.com/guide component intent common. So you can see the detailed intent description and also the example of source code. This is an example of implicit intent. Take a photo using a camera. In our application, we have 4 activities. For example, I will click camera. Okay. So this button trigger a camera device. So we can press ELT in order to move around here. Okay. Let's say I select this area and then click snap picture, and the image will be saved into image view. It will be displayed in image view. Now we will discuss in detail how to develop it. First thing, we need to give our application permission to use the device camera. Open the Android manifest here. Okay. You need to add this code. Use feature Android name android.hardware.camera android.require true. Remember intent that we use to navigate to another activity, isn't it? We also use them to take a photo using a camera. You can go to the main activity. Okay, this is my main activity. We can see our layout here. Okay. In our layout, we have 2 items, which are image view and the button. Okay, we can see the attribute, the ID, photo. For the button, here is a button underscore tag. Okay. Next, go to the Java file. Okay. First, we have to declare the variable, yeah, for each item. Here I type a private button btn, private image view photo. Okay. After that, we can add this code, yeah, static vinyl integer request image capture. It is basically just defining a number which we set at 1. This is used as a unique identifier by the code to take a photo. In order to link between Java file and the layout XML file, so we can declare a button or btn equal to button find view by id r.id.btn underscore take. Photo equal to image view find view by id r.id.photo. Okay. After we link it between Java file and the layout, we can set on click listener to the button. So we can type btn.set on click listener new view on click listener public void on click view v. Then we can write the function here. My function which entitled here take picture. Okay. Now I create the function. Yeah. It is no return value, so I can type private void take picture. In the take photo method, we can declare intent take picture intent equal to new intent media store dot action image capture. It creates a new intent which will open the camera. Next is a handle application. If take picture intent dot resolve activity get package manager not equal to null. It is a safety check that the intent will work. It is important because if you call start activity for result using an intent that no application can handle, your application will crash. So as long as the result is not null, it is safe to use the intent. Next, you can type the code start activity for result take picture intent request image capture. Actually, it is used the intent to open the camera. So in this here we use the start activity for result. It means that the intent will return the value, will return the result. Basically the result is a photo which is taken. Next is in order to retrieve the data, we can create a function to retrieve the data. A protected void on activity result, integer request code, integer result code, intent data. We have to put a condition to check that the result is successful or not. We can type if request code equal to request image capture and result code equal to result OK. So this variable must same as the variable that we assign in the start activity for result, must similar. Okay. Next, we will store the data. We can use a bundle extra equal to data.getExtra. Bitmap image bitmap equal to bitmap extra.getData. This line, actually we save the data in a bitmap file, and we can display into the image view. We can use the photo, the variable of photo, dot set image bitmap. So the photo on screen in the image view object will be displayed in your screen. Yeah. I think that's all. In this example, we are going to send an email from our application by using an intent object that launched existing email client. You can see here in our layout we have 4 items, 3 edit text and 1 button. Okay. Email, subject, message, and sending button. Let us check the Java file. Okay. First, we have to declare a variable, for here for edit text, 3 edit text, email to, subject, and message. Then we have to link between Java file and layout. You can type email to edit text, find view by ID, r.id.edit text for subject and message. Next is a button. You have to link it between Java file and the layout. You can type send equal to button view find view by ID r.id.button. Then we can set on click listener to the button. Set on click listener, new view on click listener, public void on click, view v, send email. This is my function. So I create a new function for sending email. Here we can use action send to launch an email client installed on your Android device. Following is the simple syntax to create an intent with the action send. So you can type intent, email intent equal to new intent, and this is the action, intent.action send. Create a new variable called email intent here that is of class intent. It's just a variable. You can change this variable based on your preference. We can set the content of the email to plain text. So we can type email intent dot set type text or plain. And here is an example showing you how to assign extra data to your intent. So you can call email intent dot put extra, intent dot extra email, comma new string, and this is the edit text, email to dot get text dot to string. You can specify the email address here. Actually, you can replace this. You can specify the email address, and in this case we are going to retrieve the data from the edit text. So I call the edit text and dot get text dot to string. So whatever you type in the edit text will be retrieved and save it into here. They are defined in the array of string. So you can add more than one email. So you can specify, for example, 3 emails here, by using a comma. So multiple email. And then this is how to we specify the email subject. Yeah. You can use email intent dot put extra intent extra subject, email subject dot get text dot to string, and this is the actual email content. Yeah. So you can use email intent dot put extra intent extra text message dot get text dot to string. Okay, in order to execute the intent, you can type start activity intent create chooser, yeah, email intent, and choose an email. Yeah. So let us start try. Okay, let's say we type here the subject is Android. Hello. Okay, once we enter all the detail and click a send button just now, it will display a dialog with the application which are capable of sending an email. By selecting the required email client, we can send an email without building our own email client like as shown above. We can select, for example, Gmail here, and it automatically set the data into your email, then you can send it, sending message. This is how we can send an email using intent in Android application based on our requirement. I think that's all. Thank you.